Hi there, Zam here for NerdTube. These are my thoughts and spoilers of The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 1, Future Days. So, we begin this episode with the protagonist of the Last of Us 2 game, Abby. She is at her father's grave, and she's really pissed off. She wants revenge against Joel, but doesn't really know who Joel is, just some description she's got. But yeah, she wants to go after this guy. And she's got a little crew of people with her as well, including the guy who currently plays the Falcon in the MCU. So in this show, not only do we have Reed Richards, we have the Falcon as well, but they're on opposing sides, so a bit of civil war, baby. Regardless, a 5-year time jump, and we see Ellie doing some MMA fighting and stuff like that, mixed martial arts. She's basically toughening herself up, and I'm sure some of this will come into the future episodes when it comes to her having a fight with people and brawling. She seems to be able to take care of herself pretty well, and she's got some good people training her too. She has a best friend called Dina, who seems to get along with a lot of people, including Joel. But Ellie and Joel don't seem to be getting along too well themselves. Ellie, I think, is really pissed off with Joel. Joel, he's trying his very best to connect with Ellie, so much so that he's seeing a therapist to try to understand what the situation is regarding himself and Ellie, but the therapist is not too happy with Joel herself because Joel killed her husband at one particular point. The therapist understands why, but she still finds it very hard to forgive him. So Joel's not necessarily getting the best advice from his therapist. But at the same time, what advice she did give him was like, look, she is a teenager. What do you expect? They are going to be upset with you and pissed off with you and want to avoid you at that particular age. But there is, in my opinion, a lot more to it. You see, Ellie was the cure for humanity. If she did decide to die and sacrifice herself, she could have saved the world. But Joel denied that from happening. Joel stopped that from happening. And I personally think there's a lot of resentment from Ellie towards Joel, because Joel stopped the world from being saved, and it only took one person's life to do that, and that was Ellie's. And maybe Ellie's got some survivor's guilt, or is just upset by all of this because the need for the greater good did not occur on that particular day. So I think that's why she holds so much resentment towards Joel. Regardless, Ellie, her friend Dina, and some other guys, they go on some little field trip, so to speak, looking for stuff and keeping an eye out for the infected. With the infected now, a handful of them have been seen around the perimeter of the barracks that they're all staying in, and so I guess all these groups want to know what the hell's going on. Now, we do find an abandoned store where there's a dead bear outside, which probably had a fight with a few infected. But there seems to be a couple of infected still in the store. So Ellie and her friend Dina, who are both 19 and just like to have fun, go to investigate. Now, they don't take authority very seriously, and their idea of a good time is to kill infected people because they're young and they want to do stuff which they find to be fun. And this is the world that they live in. Now, Ellie and Dina get separated in the shop, but Ellie falls through a floor after killing one of the infected. But there happens to be another infected in the lower floor, and this infected seems to be a little bit more strategic. So much so that at one particular point, the infected had a chance to run towards Ellie, and Ellie was expecting it to do so. But no, it hid around the corner and tried to catch Ellie from behind, hiding in places. So much so that it did catch Ellie from behind and even bit Ellie, but luckily for Ellie, Ellie has immunity. But regardless, this was a different tactic from the infected. So much so that after Ellie and Dina leave the store and go back to their base, they tell the council about what's happened. And now it's something for the council to digest, that maybe these infected are evolving. And not just in the sense of growing a mushroom head either. Alright, so it is the new year. And so everyone's celebrating the new year. And prior to that, by the way, let me just not forget this. There are some obviously works going on around the barracks. The barracks itself is getting too small to accommodate all these refugees that are coming in. So that needs to be resolved. They have to try and increase the size of the barracks. But on top of that, when certain members are like digging up the ground and unearthing pipe, they find that sort of root, those stems, which cause the infected. They're inside these pipes. So these pipes are now no longer any use. and those pipes will come into play a little bit later, because we do have the new year. And Dina, who's an attractive young girl and Ellie's best friend, well, Ellie has the hots for her, but so does every fucking man in the camp. And at the same time, they're all dancing for the new year. And there is a guy Dina is seeing, and they're on and off all the time. But at one particular point, Dina grabs Ellie, and they start to dance together. And Dina's quite drunk, but regardless, she lays a kiss on Ellie, and unsurprisingly, and Ellie, who has no idea, how meaningful this is from Dina, she's a little bit shocked by it all. But before anything gets any more intimate, there's a man who doesn't like seeing two women kiss, and gets really upset by it, and then calls them dykes. And that's when Joel, who just came out of fucking nowhere, pushes this guy on the ground to defend Ellie's honor, and tells Ellie if she's okay. But Ellie gets really pissed off that Joel did that, and Joel can't understand what the fuck's going on, because he tried to defend, his surrogate daughter's honor. But nevertheless, this is doesn't make Ellie feel any better, and she walks off with Dina. And before the episode ends, we see people with sparklers and so on, waving them around, celebrating the new year, and one of them throws a sparkler on the ground near the pipe where those roots are, and you can see the sort of spores and roots and shit like that activating, and feeling the heat of those sparklers. I don't know exactly, but we all know that from season 1, that we remember that these roots, these things, they're like a network system for the infected. So now a lot of the infected are going to find out that there's a lot of humans in these barracks behind these walls, and a lot of them are going to probably be coming that way in the future. So that's definitely going to happen. We already saw it in the trailers that they're going to be, coming towards those barracks. So this peace they've been having for several years is going to come to an end pretty soon, which is a shame. But regardless, all good things come to an end, and so did this episode. And before it did end, we saw Abby again. So we see at the beginning of this episode, and we see at the end, and we see her seeing the barracks from a distance with her friends. But does she know that Joel's there? She's just happy to find somewhere where she can find some shelter. Who knows? But yeah, Joel and Abby, they're going to be meeting up pretty soon as well. So there's other shit to deal with too. And the fact that, people like Ellie and her friend Dina, they need to mature a little bit, because having fun by killing the infected is so fucking dangerous. And even though I know Ellie's got things like plot armor, which is very handy when you're the main character, especially if you can't be infected because you've got some sort of immunity, you're then immediately thinking, okay, her friend Dina, she's going to be getting killed any fucking minute now. So I'm always expecting Dina to be killed now from the next episode onwards, because obviously she didn't get killed in this episode. Still, even though I have these particular gripes, which are next to nothing, I did enjoy this show overall. I give it an 8 out of 10. Some excellent stuff. I'm not sure how I feel about the time jump, but we got it anyway. That means Joel now will be 60 years old, so he's closer to being a pensioner than anything else. But yeah, regardless, I did enjoy this episode for what it gave me. I look forward to more. 8 out of 10 is what I give season 2 of episode 1 of The Last of Us. Roll on episode 2. Let me know what you think of The Last of Us season 2 episode 1, Future Days. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest social media channel you never heard of. Take care. Bye bye.